Hey everybody, it's Joe Holdsworth back with another Friday technique video. Today we're going to go over one of Joey Smith's favorite exercises, the hurdle, or as everyone else knows it, the RDL. The RDL is a great exercise. I think it's underutilized, like the pull through, for building great deadlift and also helping as an accessory in your squat, depending on what your weaknesses are. I'm more of a fan of it for helping build the deadlift. One of the things with the hurdle or the RDL is that it really helps practice that hip hinge pattern. And if you finish the RDL properly, then you're also working on finishing and bringing those glutes through like we worked on the other technique video for the deadlift. So it's reinforcing those great patterns that we need. The deadlift is a hip hinge pattern. The RDL is a hip hinge pattern. So not just for building your deadlift, but for actually building overall athletic ability and patterns for young athletes. We love the RDL as an exercise, just as a general pattern builder, as well as building strength for more advanced athletes. A couple things that people do wrong with the RDL is that they do lock it out just like bad with the deadlift, like we talked about in that technique video, so I'll kind of go over that a little bit. They go too low on it, keep their legs too straight, don't push their butt back enough, so we'll kind of go over a little bit of all of that. So when we're doing the RDL, I like to do it out of a rack. This allows me to go a lot heavier and save some of my deadlift strength as far as coming out of the bottom. I learned something from Steve Goggins a long time ago. Work what you're supposed to be working on. So if I'm doing grip work, I'll do grip work. But if I'm doing rack pulls, use straps. I'm working my low back, not my grip. So with this, I'm working pattern and strengthening on the top portion of my movement, of my deadlift pattern. So that's where I'm going to concentrate on. So when I take the RDL out, always unrack the bar unrack the bar with your body close to the bar. It's a very common mistake I see from people just unracking bars in general, is they'll be out here and they'll just jerk it out. Can't do that with 600 pounds. So when you lift the bar out for the RDL, what you want to do is you want to have a shoulder width stance. And I like to do feet pointed straight ahead. The reason I like to do this is because most of the lifts we do, our feet are slightly pointed out. This helps to take away a lot of the glute in it and make it more of a pure hamstring strengthener. Now, if you need more glute, then feel free to widen your stance a little bit, point your toes out a little bit, and you'll get more glute activation in there. But I think for most people, we really need to use this as a hamstring builder. It'll help get that deadlift past the knee, and where a lot of people get stuck right below the knee. So as we do the RDL, what we want to do is we want to start with that hip back position. So a lot of people tend to bend over, and especially when they lower the deadlift. Some people have a nice deadlift and an awful dead lower. So when people lower the deadlift, their knees go forward, the bar goes around. So this will help strengthen if people have weak low back and abs and can't maintain that position for reps in deadlift. So we want butt back in a hinge pattern, slight bend in the knees, right below the knee. So some people take this too low. The other problem people have is that they get about right here and they don't have enough strength, so they squat down. That's not an RDL, that's a half a deadlift. So we want to make sure we keep the legs relatively straight. We get a nice right below the knee, pulled it up, squeeze the glutes. One thing I really focus on here, I think about pulling my heels into the floor. So I pretend that I'm trying to pull the whole world behind me. So as I get down here, I really focus on pulling the world behind me, making my hamstrings do the work. Just like in the deadlift, don't let the back overcompensate here. There's a very small difference between what I just did and using the low back. And if you watch real closely, you'll notice same lowering pattern, good hip hinge pattern, but here instead of using my hamstrings to bring it up, all I'm doing is arching my back up. So it's a very small difference, but the difference is a lot of pounds on my lifts. So make sure when you're doing it that you're pulling your hamstrings forward. I like to think of it as pulling the bar behind me, and that bar will stay nice and tight to you. If you arch the bar up, there will become a little bit of separation. And for most people, this won't be a big difference in look, but the feel of starting with the back or bringing the hamstrings and really contracting them and strengthening them will make a huge difference. Those are also the people who do that most, who will fail at a deadlift right below the knee. They'll rocket it off the ground, or they get off the ground, they just won't be able to get past the knee. This is an exercise that will help those people tremendously if they do it properly. It'll also help people who don't have that proper deadlift lockout pattern, because it's just more repetitions with weight in their hands. So I love the RDL. I think it's a great exercise. Honestly, for our athletes, we use RDL a lot more than glute ham raise, simply because a proper glute ham raise, it's hard for people to do properly, and this is a lot easier to teach, a lot quicker, and I can move with more weight a lot faster than in the glute ham raise. It takes a long time to teach it properly, and you never really can add weight in someone's hands. So that was the RDL. Thanks, I hope you enjoyed it. Been getting a lot of great feedback from the technique videos. Send us emails, comment on videos on what you want to see. Go to thespotathletics.com for more information, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Spot Athletics. Thanks, have a great weekend, everybody.